Isle of Man TT winner Steve Hislop, and this is Matt Llewellyn's machine. Matt Llewellyn on the line, riding number 4. So that's the angle we'll get from Matt Llewellyn. We also have a camera on Jamie Whittam's bike. In fact, we have 2 cameras, one facing forwards and one facing back. So that'll be interesting if Whittam gets out in front, and who's going to bet that he isn't? Green light, and Jamie Whittam had a good start as they stretch out towards Paddock Hill Bend. It's Whittam, Matt Llewellyn charging through very bravely on the inside. Michael Rutter well down the order, but a cracking start by Llewellyn up towards Druids, and we're looking to pick up the leader, but everyone's safely away. And that looked to me as though that was one of the Med Hondas.
It's Jim Moody, I think, he didn't get a terribly good start, but Whittam seemed to break early going into Paddock Hill Bend, and Jim Moody's gone through into the first place. So Whittam taking it a little cautiously on that first lap.
Well, Jim Moody, riding number 2, runner-up in last year's series, had the frustration all last year of seeing the Nortons, the rotary Nortons, disappear into the different distance. But he's had a certain amount of frustration with the Ducatis, and the Ducati leads now. It's Matt Llewellyn riding number 4. Llewellyn is out in front. He's having one of his best seasons by far. He was riding very well in the 1994 season. Matt Llewellyn, the race leader, finished 4th in the Super Cup Championship, hence the number on his bike, but he's leading this one. And still in 2nd place, it's Moody. Hislop, number 11, in 3rd. Then it's Jamie Whittam, number 69, in 4th, the pole position man. Steve Hislop, look at Whittam coming out of the slipstream. Number 69, Jamie Whittam, neck and neck with Steve Hislop, number 11. So Whittam in 4th, but the clear leader, Matt Llewellyn, Jamie Whittam now.
Here we're on board with Jamie Whittam as they're coming down over the start and finish straight. 5th gear, 145 miles an hour. Whittam's looking on the inside, and I think he's gone through. No, he didn't quite make it, but he had a good look on the inside. He tried to pass Jim Moody as they went into Paddock Hill Bend, but Whittam running pretty wide there as they come round Paddock Bend. But Whittam, I'm surprised, taking it very easy. We're back with James Whittam at the moment. Druids Corner, 2nd gear, 65, 70 miles an hour, short shifting down here as they come down towards what's called the Cooper Straight. Now James Whittam coming through here, up into 5th gear as they come along this section, about 125 miles an hour before they'll brake hard down through the gears into Surtees Corners. 3rd gear. 3rd gear as they accelerate. Now we're coming up onto the main Pilgrim Drop and Hawthorne Hill. This is the fastest part on the circuit, reading 165 miles an hour on Ray Stringer's data logger here yesterday. The fastest part of the corner as they break into 4th gear through Hawthorne's Bends. This is a terrific view from Jamie Whittam's machine.
Well, Whittam ahead of him as the disappearing tail of Jim Moody, and ahead of that is Matt Llewellyn. Llewellyn really in with a bang now for the 1995 season, the race leader. Now Jamie Whittam knows full well in this 15-lap race, all of these men are on equally quick 955cc Ducati motorcycles. We're with Whittam now, he's on the Moto Cinelli Ducati. He's coming out of the slipstream up into 2nd place. 2nd place then Whittam. Ahead of him, it's Matt Llewellyn, and now Whittam has Llewellyn firmly in his sights, head down along the straight. Race leader, it was Hislop, I beg your pardon, in 3rd. So Moody on the Honda now relegated to 4th, Hislop in 3rd, and Steve Hislop Ducati, Jamie Whittam Ducati, and the Ducati of Matt Llewellyn. These 3 then really setting about each other. Hislop won't give up easily.
Not at all. I think the race is going to between number 11 Steve Hislop and 69 Jamie Whittam that we're looking at now in 2nd and 3rd places. Matt Llewellyn is very fast here, but I believe that Jamie Whittam, who set the pole position time, will be the quickest man. Steve Hislop isn't going to let him go. Once again, they come round onto the fastest part of the course, and as I said earlier, 165 miles an hour before they break into the Hawthorne Bends. And under the screen there, you can see they're getting down. Stevie Hislop looks like he lost a little bit of ground to Whittam as they went down there, but closed in under the braking.
27-year-old Matt Llewellyn, we are riding with him now, and Llewellyn must be aware that breathing down his neck, he's got Jamie Whittam, and right with him, Steve Hislop. These 3 now have pulled away from Moody, and as they hurtle through Dingledell, it's Jim Moody still in 4th, but 1, 2, 3, there's nothing between them. Hislop now fighting back. It's been said in recent weeks that Hislop and Jamie Whittam have a bit of a private feud going, and that's manifesting itself on the circuit here. Steve Hislop desperate to prove that he's every bit as quick around the short circuits as he is around the Isle of Man and indeed the road race circuits. But look at Jamie Whittam, having a look at the inside. Matt Llewellyn, though, holding on to that lead. I just wonder, are they going to push Matt Llewellyn into making a mistake?
Well, I think they're going to pass. I think Whittam's going to have a look now as they go into Druids, and he's got the inside line. We're not going to know till he tips it in, but yes, Whittam takes the lead. Now, it's just what he'll have wanted to do at that point, because this could hold up Steve Hislop. Once again, we're back on board with Matt Llewellyn. You see at the bottom of the screen there, the rev counter. He changes up. You can just see it's coming out towards 12,000 RPM before he changes into fifth gear. Now he'll change downshifting into third gear as they come round onto the main straight. But Llewellyn's still staying with Jamie Whittam, but Hislop is behind Llewellyn, and we're going to have to see now if Stevie Hislop can get a slipstream off them on the back straight here. So Hislop right behind Llewellyn.
Tremendous stuff on these Italian-built in Bologna, V-twin, four-stroke Ducati machines, replicas, as I said, of the title-winning bike that Carl Fogarty took to the 1994 World Superbike Championship. Jamie Whittam just stretching away a little bit. He's in a good team. And we're riding now with Llewellyn. Llewellyn still in second, but Hislop is right with him. The fast disappearing shape now of Whittam, just edging away a fraction of a second at this level, Steve, is everything.
Yeah, well, this is just what Jamie wanted, because it could be giving him a chance to get away from Steve Hislop, who I said at the beginning I think is his main threat for this race. And if he can just stretch out a couple of seconds, which it looks like he's doing, he's coming up towards the start and finish straight, and I would estimate he's got a second of the lead there, but Hislop's on the outside. Not the best place to be as they come into paddock. I don't think he'll be able to do it. He's gone round the outside of Matt Llewellyn. A terrific move by Steve Hislop, so Hislop now into second place.
Well, Llewellyn obviously under a bit of pressure there, so the number 4 race leader relegated to third. Hislop now setting about Jamie Whittam, and Whittam number 69, 7th in the World Superbike. We are looking backwards now from Jamie Whittam at the relentless pursuit by Steve Hislop of Whittam's Ducati. And Hislop closing up now. He's got Whittam firmly in his sights. He couldn't be much closer. Watch how Whittam just eases away on acceleration. Looks as though he's got a bit more grunt there. Could be that Whittam is just fractionally lighter, might make that sort of difference.
Well, I think Stevie Hislop went into the Surtees corner there a little too fast. He went in fast, and that means you come out slow, and he's done the same. He's closed in under braking. Whittam's taking the wider line and getting away, but it's always very difficult. Stevie Hislop does look to be the quicker as they go into these corners, and he has closed that gap down. So Jamie Whittam has got some work on his hands now. Coming up to Dingle Dell section, a very fast little chicane that can be taken as one corner. Whittam uses the curves, the front goes light at that section. Back down now into third gear as they come round back onto the short circuit. They'll shortly be coming to view at Clearways, back onto the Indy circuit, and this is where Stevie Hislop is very, very good. If he can get the drive onto the start and finish straight here, he then has the chance to maybe make a move down the inside at Paddock Hill Bend.
Race leader then, James Whittam, 7th in the World Superbike Championship last year, with the best result in Indonesia, round 6, where he won the first race and was 4th in leg 2. That gave him second place overall. But he had a fairly spasmodic season, but nevertheless 7th in the world. Not as high as he would have expected, which possibly accounts for the reason he has come back to the domestic scene. And we are still with James Whittam, just looking back to see where Steve Hislop is, and you can see for yourself where Hislop is. Hislop has dived up the inside and through into the lead. Goes Steve Hislop from Hawick, now resident in the Isle of Man, in his much-loved Isle of Man, where he has had 11 TT victories. Hislop now proving to Whittam, who's fighting back, that he's equally at home on the short circuit, and in particular here at the Grand Prix circuit at Brands as he's on the roads.
Well, at this point, I think, yeah, Whittam, I thought so. We saw it on bike. He had a problem. He lost the rear end. It nearly high-sided. That was very close for Jamie Whittam. He was doing 130 miles an hour there at 5th gear, and the rear end just broke away. You saw a black line. Jamie Whittam lost traction, but that gave Steve Hislop the chance to get through. So now Whittam has it all to do. Steve Hislop does look the man at the moment. He looks very smooth, very much under control. So Whittam is the man that's chasing, but he has a look on the inside as they come down into Clearways, into the short circuit part. But no, he doesn't get it. But Whittam is close enough now to get a tow as they come over the start and finish tracks. And I think we'll see Jamie Whittam have a look on the inside as they come into paddock. He's right behind now Steve Hislop. He's taken the inside. Can he do it? Is he? No, but Stevie Hislop keeps a high-speed entry into Paddock Hill Bend. But Whittam hasn't given up yet. I don't think he'll have another look as they come up to Druids. He's got the inside once again, and he has the inside line there. Whittam can just get through, and he's done it. Into the first place, number 69, Jamie Whittam.
Well, having seen the confidence with which Steve Hislop is riding this race, I have every reason to believe that Hislop is going to attack again, and he's not going to let Whittam get away with it that easily. They are side by side now. Hislop goes through again, so he really has grabbed the lead from Jamie Whittam, who ran just a touch wide there. Hislop went in deeper on the brakes, left it later. Now Hislop is vanishing away. This is James Whittam, the 28-year-old Yorkshireman, who's coming out of the slipstream again on the inside, but Hislop very bravely holds off the brakes and still retains the lead. And if this is going to be this style all the way to the checkered flag, my goodness me, what a prospect we have in store. Superbike racing at its very best. British riders, the cream of the British talent here, and two of the best as Whittam gets really out of shape at Dingledell. Jamie Whittam, number 69, and that unnerved him just a fraction and allowed Hislop to open up a cushion. Matt Llewellyn, indeed, James Whittam looked over the shoulder there because he thought, I lost a fraction of a second. Where the dickens is Llewellyn? And Llewellyn has by no means given up.
Yeah, what happens at this point, the bike goes light, the front comes up in the air, and if you haven't got it pretty much in a straight line and you wait just right, then you lose a lot of ground. And Whittam did, but he's not given up. He looks for the inside as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. And we saw earlier where Stevie Hislop passed Jamie Whittam was just where Whittam had the slide. Hislop knew that Whittam might be a little cautious here and it allowed him to go through, but Whittam has a look on the inside and he takes it once again. But I think we'll see Steve Hislop as they come down onto the bottom Cooper Straight. Hislop will take the tighter line. He's very confident through there. Whittam had his slide at this point, 2 laps to go, but now he seems to have settled down. But Whittam is the man that looks out of shape, I have to say.
Well, riding the ragged edge, or so it would appear, but Ray Stringer, number 17, has moved from 6th up to 4th in that lap. So now, from the rear end, if you'll pardon the expression, of Jamie Whittam's bike, looking back at the pursuing Steve Hislop. Hislop with that number 11 looming large in his wing mirrors, if he had any wing mirrors, that is. But, of course, the pit boards are his wing mirrors. They'll be telling him just how close Steve Hislop is. They will be telling him just how narrow that margin is. And there's still a lot of racing ahead of them. And Llewellyn has by no means given up the chase. He is still there in 3rd, just waiting in case these two trip themselves up. And there's every chance that Jamie Whittam could trip somebody up because he really is wriggling all over the circuit. Is it due to machine handling? Is it due to tyres going off? Or is it simply that Hislop is putting him under so much pressure?
Yeah, I think Jamie Whittam is just trying very, very hard. They did try changing a few things in the qualifying. They went for a heavier spring on Whittam's bike, which gave him that pole position time, but maybe it's unsettling the bike. I think we're now going to see Steve Hislop just settle in 2nd place for a little while. He's not a silly man at all. He'll be watching where Jamie Whittam is slower and just using that to find a place where he can possibly pass. We're 2/3 into this race. Stevie Hislop will now maybe just look at what Whittam's up to, because they don't need to trip each other over because Matt Llewellyn is there. They need to pull out a bit of a gap.
Seven Super Cup wins for Jamie Whittam on his way to the 1993 Super Cup title. Is this going to be the first of 6 possible wins in this new International Superbike Series? 6 races in the series, I remind you. This is the opening leg. There's another leg to come from Brands Hatch in this glorious weather. It really is ideal racing conditions, and now the pace seems to have settled a bit. That frantic chase by Steve Hislop has just been tempered a little bit, maybe by Hislop himself, maybe by the pit board saying, cool it, you know, there's plenty to go. As Steve said, we are just 2/3 into the race distance. Matt Llewellyn might be saving something as well for the closing stages. He's still there in 3rd. Race leader, though, 69 Whittam, still with him, Steve Hislop, the very, very experienced and normally extremely safe Steve Hislop.
Very much so. Steve Hislop, number 11 there. He's off to Italy for the World Superbike Championship here next week, or in Italy next week. So the last thing he told me yesterday was that he wants to do is fall off and damage that machine or himself. He has his eyes set on the World Championship in Italy. And I think Steve Hislop's going to sit in 2nd place for a little while, and then maybe we'll see a battle on that last lap.
That's the gap now, down to 3rd place. We're looking for number 17, Ray Stringer. And Stringer, and look at the gap, look how much they're spread out. Long, long way. It just illustrates the speed of the leading trio, the way they've pulled away. Back to the race leader, number 69, still Jamie Whittam, and Hislop now underlining the fact that he's very serious about winning this race. and he is in second place and chasing. Matt Llewellyn still in third, and a long gap, something in the region of 9 seconds, down to Ray Stringer riding number 17, who is in fourth. Jim Moody on the only Honda in the top six, and young Mike Rutter, the 23-year-old from Brierley Hill, winner of the first Super Cup round at Donington Park. Much to the surprise of all the other talent, is there in sixth. But there's still the battle for the lead, and this battle has not lessened up at all. I thought it had eased off a bit, but Hislop mounting another determined challenge. Tail-enders ahead of them as up go the hands. They go either side of a back marker, and that's an interesting moment.
Yeah, well, this is where experience could pay off. Back markers will come into play now. They're starting to lap people, and the last thing that Steve Hislop needs is to get a Jamie Whittam for him to get a back marker in between them and slow him down on one of the crucial parts of the circuit. But Steve Hislop, I think, is sitting there pretty comfortably, I believe. He doesn't look to be trying too hard, and he knows very well that there's no point in pushing it too hard until that last lap. You can see now they've settled down. They've started to pull away from Matt Llewellyn. Their lap times have come down as they stopped battling so much. Stevie Hislop, I think, is just watching what Whittam's up to.
Well, in the build-up to this race, there was a great deal of hype in the media about these two and how they are apparently at loggerheads, not off the track, but certainly on the track. They are indeed at loggerheads. They each have a point to prove. Jamie Whittam feels that he should be the dominant force, and indeed he is currently in this race, but equally Steve Hislop knows that he has James Whittam, well, rattled is maybe not a fair word, but certainly he's aware that he has the measure of the Yorkshireman, and that's borne out by the fact that he is right on the rear wheel, well now into the closing stages of this race, of the 28-year-old from Huddersfield. So Jamie Whittam, Rob McElnay, the team manager, runs a very tight ship indeed, leading Hislop by the narrowest of margins, and I think you're right, Steve. I suspect Steve Hislop has got just a little bit in reserve.
Yeah, that's what I feel, but it's interesting now, the first four machines are Ducatis. The Ducati is allowed to be a fair bit lighter than the four-cylinder Japanese machines. They can run at 145 kilograms as opposed to 160, and they can also run up to 1000cc as opposed to the 750cc of the four-cylinder machines. And a lot of people are thinking this is slightly unfair now, because it does seem as though if you don't have a Ducati, you don't have a chance of winning. So I think we could see some rule changes in the next few seasons if Ducati keep dominating this series.
Well, on the Hislop puts in the fastest lap, just to underline the fact that we think he's really doing something serious now about taking the lead. And just 0.03 off the lap record, so Hislop very quick indeed. The ultimate lap record held here by Jamie Whittam, and that was set in 1993 on his way to the Super Cup title. So number 69, Jamie Whittam, his record about to tumble. If it doesn't go in this leg, it could easily go in leg two, because the sun is out here, the circuit is perfect, there is little or no wind, and these Ducatis are exceptionally fast. Another tail-ender ahead of them now. Will they go either side of him as they did before, or do they both go the long way round? Now, Jamie Whittam just measuring him up, and that held him up a fraction. Was a bit unsure what to do about number 79. A late entry, 79, but getting in the way nevertheless. And round they go. Hislop got the advantage, neck and neck. Jamie Whittam clawing back the lead, if at all possible. And as they come onto the straight again round Clark Curve, James Whittam and Steve Hislop are neck and neck.
It does seem as though Whittam has a little extra speed there, but Steve Hislop used his experience. He used the back marker to get back past Whittam, but Hislop goes through Paddock Hill Bend. Steve Hislop's gone through, but that will mean Jamie Whittam will be able to cut back, take the tighter line as they come up towards Druids, and yes, he does exactly that. He's got the inside, and I think once you've got the inside line at Druids Bend, he's managed to push Hislop out wide. For Steve Hislop now, we might see him cut back and use the inside line as they come down into Cooper Straight. Now, Hislop will have a look on the inside. He'll try and get the drive early, but he doesn't seem to be able to. He is normally quicker as they come into Surtees Corner, but he's decided once again to hang back. I think Steve Hislop has a little bit up his sleeve.
Well, Mike Rutter, riding number 5, has gone up to 5th, replacing Jim Moody. So that means we now have Ducatis, another tail-ender. The number 50 tail-ender there, Paul Cassidy from Plumstead, has been relegated. So we now have Ducatis running in the top 5. The Honda of Jim Moody is in 6th. There it is confirmed. And very sadly for Yamaha, they do not have a competitive motorcycle on the 1995 scene. The leading Yamaha is in 11th place. under the capable hands of Alex Buckingham. Steve, is it rumoured there's a new Yamaha for next year?
Yeah, there is talk of a new Yamaha coming in, and it is rather sad. They've had a terrific team over a number of years, but it does seem now that the Yamaha is a little dated, and it's sad that Yamaha haven't got an official team in the UK racing, but they'll come back. They always have done. Yamaha's breed is racing, and most certainly we'll see them back on those rostrums pretty shortly.
Well, the whole concept of superbike racing is basically for the manufacturers to display on the track the sort of machinery that you can virtually buy to use on the road, not quite in full race specification, but the laws and the rules of superbike racing mean that a machine has to be produced for mass sale to the general public in order for it to be eligible for superbike competition. So therefore, what you're effectively seeing now is over-the-counter machines with a few extra racing bits bolted on, and if you've got £30,000, you can buy one of these Ducatis, assuming, of course, you can find one spare. 69 Whitham leading Hislop, and Hislop now just a fraction of a second, 0.17 of a second behind Whitham. And could Whitham be making a break?
I think he could. I'm a bit concerned now for Steve Hislop. I keep saying that I think he's got something up his sleeve, but the more I watch, Jamie Whitham does seem to have a bit of speed. He does have the straight line speed, and for Steve Hislop to pass him, it'd be very difficult, because on these last few parts before the finish line, there isn't really any opportunities for that. I think the pass from Hislop will come along Cooper Straight as they go into Surtees on the main straight, but I think then maybe Jamie Whitham will out-drag him down that straight. So we're going to have to wait and see.
We have seen several times when Whitham, number 69, has been behind Steve Hislop that he manages to just pull out of the slipstream and bullet past. So just to confirm what Steve said, it seems that his Ducati is a touch quicker. And Hislop now looking as though with 2.6 miles to go that he has no answer, although having said that, out of Paddock Hill Bend he was on the tail end again. He's very fast going into the turns. But Jamie Whitham, now tail-enders ahead of them. In fact, 2 or 3 tail-enders ahead of them. This could be the break that Steve Hislop needs. He's now as close as he's been all race. He's almost alongside. How are they going to handle the back markers? Number 75, the back marker there. Well, round one side, Hislop. Yes, Hislop goes as well. The tail-enders are really confusing the issue here. Number 78, Graham Marchant, is the next to come under the hammer of Jamie Whitham. Does he know they're there? Oh, he sits up as Whitham goes through, and that's put the gap between Whitham and Hislop that Jamie Whitham needed.
That was exactly perfectly timed for Jamie Whitham. He just got a back marker as they went into Hawthorne Bends, and that's given him the gap. But prior to that, with the back marker, we saw as they came onto the straight, Whitham had to slow, but also Stevie Hislop had to. He lost the drive onto the course, but he's very, very close now as they go through Dingle Dell. They're down now into the slow Stirling's Bend. Hislop's having a look, but I really don't think he has the chance now, because as they go into Clearways, that's the last corner before the finish.
Watch Steve Hislop, number 11, the last right-hander, Clearways, Clark Curve. The start-finish line is inside, and this is where Whitham will just stretch the advantage. Down goes the head of Steve Hislop. Jamie Whitham takes the win. 15 laps, what a tremendous race and a great win for Jamie Whitham, a popular victory with the crowd. Steve Hislop and Whitham shake hands. They know they have ridden out of their leathers. Ducati's a wonderful hard front brake, the rear wheel in the air. Jamie Whitham, number 69, opened the score here, 15 points to the good. What a great result. Jamie Whitham the winner. As the second leg prepares to kick off, the result of the first leg virtually mirrors qualifying position, with one exception. Mike Rutter, who finished in 5th place, qualified 3rd. Whitham took the win from Hislop, Matt Llewellyn, Stringer, Jim Moody, the only Honda amidst all those Ducatis. And the qualification, of course, stood from yesterday: Stringer, Llewellyn, Rutter, Hislop and Whitham. That's what it's all about. Are we going to see a repeat of their battle? Whitham, the pole position man, both he and Llewellyn carrying onboard cameras, so hopefully we will have some good onboard action. Tyre warmers firmly on, making sure that the front end's nice and sticky. Jamie Whitham, not exactly runaway winner, he had to work for the first race win. So the 28-year-old from Huddersfield, pretty thoughtful, I think, about what Hislop might be up to in this race, and Hislop is right alongside him on the grid. And from the Isle of Man now, resident in the Isle of Man, Steve Hislop number 11, on the crest of a wave, I think, since he put his leg over this Ducati. I think he'll be out to maybe take the win. Obviously, he'll try, but it's a question of whether he can just do that little bit extra. Mike Rutter, 5 on the bike, 5th in the first race, although having qualified 3rd. So he's capable of better than 5th, and maybe the 23-year-old from Brierley Hill can go 1 or maybe 2 better. Matt Llewellyn, a regular 4th place finisher, but what a good result he had as well. 3rd place it was for him in the first race, and Ray Stringer, completing the lineup, was 4th in leg 1. So it's the second leg of a 3-round, 6-race series. The sun's in, but the track nice and cool. Reminder of the front row: Stringer, Llewellyn, Rutter, Hislop, Whittam on pole position, all Ducati mounted, and it appears that the Hondas and the Yamahas have little answer, certainly here at Brands Hatch today, for the Ducati domination. But maybe it'll be a different story in this 15-lapper. Watch the lights, and it's a green. And a great start by Llewellyn. Matt Llewellyn, number 4, closely followed by Mike Rutter. Into Paddock Hill Bend the first time. Everyone's safely around, no one running wide, so that's good news. On the run up the hill at Druids, Llewellyn leads Rutter. And then the other front row people, I can see Hislop there in 4th, I can see Whittam just ahead of him, and Ray Stringer, it appears, is in 5th place. I'll give you confirmation of that. But Matt Llewellyn really performing well. 3rd in the first race, remember, and he leads. Long way to go though, 15 laps, and the distance 39 miles. In this, the second leg of a 6-race series. Llewellyn leads, then it's number 5, Rutter. Then it's Jamie Whittam. Then it's Steve Hislop. Whittam 69 in 3rd, Steve Hislop number 11 in 4th. And they're all line astern though, and they're beginning to sort themselves out a little bit now, but a much better start this time for Michael Rutter.
Yeah, great start for Michael Rutter, and in fact I think he's actually got tired in the other race. You've got to remember he has a broken wrist, or a bone in his wrist, and 3 broken toes. He has a great big boot on one foot as his toes are so swollen. So we're looking now, Whittam has a look on the inside, but doesn't quite make it as they go into Clearway. He's coming back onto the Indy circuit. But Matt Llewellyn was the man that made the start. He's done a pretty quick first lap. You've got to remember that the tyres aren't so warm, but here we are on bike now with Jamie Whittam. He crosses the start and finish line just there. He's having a look on the inside as they go into Paddock Hill Bend, but no, he can't do it. Michael Rutter in front on another Ducati, the 2 big exhaust pipes sticking down just under the seat. Whittam now on the inside as they go into Druids. This time he's made the move stick. Whittam through into 2nd place. Now you're looking at Matt Llewellyn, who also has a camera on board.
Llewellyn leads then. Number 69, Whittam, up to 2nd place. Michael Rutter already down to 4th, and as Steve pointed out, he is riding with injuries. He had a 600 crash earlier on, it was last weekend in fact, I think, so that damaged his hand, that damaged his foot. Rutter 4th, Stringer 5th. Ian Simpson on one of the Hondas is in 6th place, so that's a good result for Simpson on the Colin Seeley team manager and the Honda. Phil Borley's still the teammate of Simpson, but last year they were Norton. This year they're on Hondas, and they seem to have no answer for the amazing speed, the reliability, the manoeuvrability of the Ducatis. But now Jamie Whittam, there's Matt Llewellyn ahead of him, and Llewellyn will be going as hard as he can. Look at that! Whittam flicks into the lead as quickly as that. Through he goes, Jamie Whittam, and hot in pursuit goes Steve Hislop, number 11. Hislop now in 3rd. Whittam in the lead. Matt Llewellyn, the number 4 rider from Glenfield in Leicestershire, the meet in the sandwich. Hislop now making a bid for 2nd place. I think we're going to see a carbon copy, Steve, of race 1.
Yeah, this is virtually mirrored of leg 1, as you say, Barry, and Hislop now. This is the point where Whittam goes. He comes out of Dingledale, braking hard, down into 2nd gear as they go into Stirling's Bend. Lovely move. What it has done, and once again, it's put the Ducati of Matt Llewellyn on the inside. I was going to say in between the 2, but Hislop, as they went into Druids, boys just took that place. So Hislop now into second place, and yes, I think we're on for that battle once again. Hislop, number 11 in second, has just passed Matt Llewellyn, number 4. Jamie Whittam, 69, leads. At this point, you'll see that Hislop always the quicker as they go into the left-hand Surtees corner, but he doesn't come out so quick. If you go in fast, you often come out slow. So this is where Hislop bid to make his passes in race 1. But once again, it's a long race. We've got a 15-lap race, and I think Steve Hislop's going to be watching every move that Jamie Whittam makes.
The one thing we know for sure is that Jamie Whittam does have a power advantage. When he gets on the straight and winds back the throttle of his Ducati, he noticeably pulls away from Steve Hislop. Now, I wonder, has Steve Hislop had the opportunity maybe to do something in the pits between the first race and this race to make his bike go a little bit quicker? Hislop, of course, not riding the pure factory machine such as Jamie Whittam's on. It's the Moto Cinelli Ducati, and it's a real replica of the Works machine. It has some Works parts in it, and that could account for the fact that he has a little bit more straight line speed. Hislop is having to ride out of his leathers to stay with him on the corners, going as hard as he can on the brakes, and he's going to have to do it all the way through this race if he's in with a chance of taking the win. But there's Steve Hislop, second place, number 11. 69, Jamie Whittam, the race leader. Matt Llewellyn in third place, the early race leader, now in a comfortable third slot. Mike Rutter, number 5, is still in fourth. Look for the yellow Ducati if we get an opportunity to see Michael Rutter as the first 3 go through. Rutter now in 5th. Ray Stringer has gone through into 4th. So this is a carbon copy of race 1 thus far. Ian Simpson, number 1, in 6th. Jim Moody, fellow Scotsman, is there in 7th. And Sean Muir on the Colchester Motorcycles Kawasaki, that's unusual for a Kawasaki to be up there, is in 8th place, riding number 23. This the battle, though, for 4th and 5th.
Yeah, Steve Hislop, number 11 in second place. He does seem to carry the corner speed very well. I'm sure he's got faster corner speed. Now we're looking back from Jamie Whittam on to number 11, Steve Hislop, right behind him. Machines pretty much identical. They're both the 916 Ducatis. The only difference is that Steve Hislop does have the modified road engine, which I would say does give him a slight disadvantage on horsepower. He's keeping his number 1 engine for the Italian World Superbike race held next week in Misano, Italy. So Hislop is saving his number 1 engine, but he's doing a great job on the brakes and on the corners. And you'll see he loses a bit of ground here over the start and finish line now as they cross that into 6th gear, but under brakes and into the corners, Hislop is very, very fast, closing right in behind Whittam at that point. It's one thing closing in, it's another passing. I don't think Hislop's going to be making any rash moves until we get later into this race.
Well, Hislop on a charge. 129.74, and that is just fractionally outside Jamie Whittam's lap record of 129.5. So Hislop now closing and looking very threatening indeed. Number 11, Steve Hislop, the 11 times TT winner. You can see how he drops away in the rear there as Jamie Whittam puts the power on the number 69 Ducati, just inches away from Hislop. And inches really at this level at World Superbike, British Superbike, any form of international superbike, inches mean an awful lot at this speed. Hislop then still hard there in second place and staying with them, and I'm surprised, Steve, Matt Llewellyn, they've not dropped him off at all.
No, Matt is definitely lapping faster in this race. He's obviously made a few modifications, a few tweaks probably on the suspension for this second race. It's always difficult to know what to do. The last thing you want to do is change something in between the races and to the detriment of the handling or something of the bike. But you're also trying to improve all the time. Really, it's always said that you shouldn't change things after practice, but if you feel that you can make an adjustment and make an improvement, then you'll certainly have a go. And it does look as though Matt Llewellyn is lapping quicker now.
Well, less than a second separates Llewellyn from the race leader, Jamie Whittam, although having said that, as we speak, Hislop seemed to close and open the gap between himself and the third place man, because he is now right on the back wheel of Jamie Whittam. That's how close it is. The rear-facing camera from Jamie Whittam's machine. Now watch Hislop. He's really, really close. Is he going to be able to slip past? That's how good it is. Just 2 machine lengths. Jamie Whittam climbing all over the bike, knee on the tarmac, endeavouring to keep ahead of Hislop, but Hislop is hunting him down. Here comes Stringer. Stringer too is very much in the hunt. So is Michael Rutter. And Hislop, I don't know, I don't think he's totally lost this time. I think he's in with a chance, and he is just 2/100ths of a second outside the lap record now. So Hislop really on a charge. 1:29.52, the lap record 1:29.5, held by the man leading him in this race.
Yeah, that's fractionally quicker than they went in the first race, but it is only fractionally 100ths or 2/100ths of a second faster. They're knocking on the door of that lap record. The conditions here today are perfect. It's cool, it's dry, the track's in pretty good shape, there's no wind, so there's no reason why we shouldn't see the lap record go. Steve Hislop just doesn't seem to do himself any favours as they go onto the straight, especially around the Surtees corner. He goes in tight, which gives him a slow exit speed. Whittam uses the wider line and really gets on the gas as they go down that straight. So I would have thought that Steve will be watching this from Whittam, because if he's going to get a slipstream effect, he needs to be right on his tail.
Matt Llewellyn in third place is now 1.73, and there it is. Whittam then is under pressure. He's gone round, new lap record for Jamie Whittam. Hislop is obviously pushing him to new depths of talent, and just look at Hislop now. He's harried Jamie Whittam from the word go. Once they got sorted out and slotted into first and second places, Hislop was just like a terrier on the back wheel. He's been there ever since. And Jamie Whittam will be getting the pit signals. They'll be saying, keep your cool, Jamie, stay on the bike, keep it in a straight line, because Hislop is right there, and of the two, Jamie Whittam's bike twitches a bit more.
Yeah, Jamie's style, where you can see it's a fairly radical style. He really gets off the bike, he gets all his weight on the inside of the machine as they go into the corners, and does move around a lot, which does make the bike shift around a lot. But that doesn't always mean to say you're going to go slower. It's the way he rides that bike. You'll see once again, Hislop again, he comes in tight, but he just doesn't do him any favours on the exit. It could be also, you've got to remember that the gear ratios could be different. Maybe Jamie Whittam's running different gearing to Steve Hislop, so he's got the right on the torque band as they exit the corner. Each rider has their own preference, and sometimes you make an adjustment and it's good for one corner but bad for another. It just depends on your own personal taste as to how you want the gearing.
Well, one thing's for sure, we can't count the teeth on the sprockets, and that's what we'd need to do to be able to tell you what the gearing was. But certainly Hislop is trying harder in this race, just over half distance, so a lot of racing ahead of them. And Hislop is absolutely pressing Jamie Whittam and might even push him into making a mistake. Who knows? Whittam 69 then. It's a two-man scrap, just as it was in the first race. But Whittam is not having it all his own way. The one thing we haven't seen in this race, Steve, is Hislop hit Jamie Whittam yet.
No, that's right, we haven't, and I think Steve Hislop is having a look. There's little point in doing any more than he is. He is harassing Whittam. Whittam will be well aware that he's right behind him. Not only is he looking over his shoulder and checking it, he'll actually hear that machine behind him, so there's no question. But Whittam, you've got to say, Jamie Whittam is riding a great, smooth race. He's not being hassled too much. He doesn't seem to be making any mistakes. He's actually just stretched out a little bit of advantage there. Once again, Hislop closes under braking. This is a fast part for them. We've got one machine out. Number 70 here has just been black flagged and brought in. Andrew Corbett, he's been brought in. So obviously I would say there's something leaking from his machine, or there's something wrong hanging off the bike. The fairing's loose, I've just been informed, so that's why he's been informed.
And now then, Jamie Whittam still with Steve Hislop, and the only thing we could talk about is the exciting battle that's happening here, and my goodness me, it is a thrilling battle. It's a two-man scrap though. The rest of the race, sadly, almost academic now, because third place, Llewellyn, 4.3 seconds off the lead. They're going quicker and quicker and quicker. Another record on bike now, looking back from Jamie Whittam at Steve Hislop. And Hislop is just hanging in there as hard as he can, although the gap now just a little bit wider. Might be that Jamie Whittam has found second wind, I don't know, but certainly Hislop goes in harder on the brakes. He closes where he knows he can make up ground, and that is on the brakes going into the turns. He dives in as hard as he can, but as soon as they get onto the straight, open it up, another Superbike lap record for Jamie Whittam. They are just going faster.
Yeah, well, it was always on the cards that the lap record would be going. The record stood and was held by Jamie Whittam, but from 1993, and there was no particular reason why it hadn't been broken. So James Whittam now has really got the hammer down and he's pushing on. So he's just picking up that pace. He looks very smooth, very steady. He can't shake off Steve Hislop. I think we're going to have to wait until his last few laps to see what happens, unless Hislop can pressurise Jamie into a mistake.
The The other interesting thing, of course, is that the record that Whittam set 2 years ago was on a Yamaha, and the fastest Yamaha in the race currently is running in 10th place. Alex Buckingham again putting in a sterling performance for Yamaha. The leading Honda is in 6th place. That's Ian Simpson riding number 1. Right behind him is Jim Moody, and a Kawasaki of Sean Muir is ahead of the other Honda rider, Simpson's teammate Phil Borley, riding number 3. Mike Rutter on the yellow Ducati has now moved up again to 4th place ahead of number 17, Ray Stringer, but they are still 8, nearly 9 seconds away from this flying duo who now have tail enders ahead of them, and this is where Jamie Whittam really scored the advantage in the first race. He used the tail ender to great effect, and that's Darren Daru from London, who has just been effectively blown into the grass.
And you can see the gap now. Hislop is now 4.88 seconds in front of Llewellyn. These two have really got on the gas. They're pushing hard. And no matter how fast Whittam seems to go, Jamie Whittam's going, Hislop is there in his wheel track. So it is going to come down to the wire again. I'm starting to see Jamie's bike move around a little. Maybe the tyres going off a fraction, but I would say the same. They're both running Michelin tyres. I would say the same thing will be happening to both of them. There's no reason why Whittam should have a problem with his tyres any more than Steve Hislop should have. It's not a long race here today. The circuit isn't terribly abrasive and it isn't hard on tyres.
Well, again, with Ducatis running in the top 5, as I say, the first Japanese machine is in 6th, and what a turn up for the books this is. Last year it was the Norton saga, when the Norton pairing of Simpson and Phil Borley were virtually unbeatable in the Superbike class of the Super Cup Series. And poor Jim Moody on the then Yamaha had his work cut out to get the Yamaha in front of the Norton. For the 1995 series in this new international Superbike class, clearly we're having Ducati domination, and similarly the Hondas have a job to catch them, and Yamaha are not in with a shout.
And I think Jamie Whittam has now kept the pressure on, and he's broken the toe. He's got away from Steve Hislop. Hislop, I believe, has given up on this. I wouldn't say he's given up on the race, but he's decided to let Whittam go. He now has a second, just over a second advantage on this, and he's been lap record after lap record. So Whittam is the man that's pushing hard, and Steve Hislop, I think, has his sights set on that Italian race next weekend, and he's really more important. Feels that that's more important from this race. Whittam's bike wiggling and moving around, but I think a lot of that's down to his style. He doesn't get his weight off. You can see the front wheel going light as they go through the Dingle Dell section there, and it's twisting and buckling around, but that's Jamie Whittam's style. Just as I said, he's getting away. Maybe Hislop's closing again now.
I'll just remind you, certainly for interest of the points situation, each of these races carries 15 points for the win, so Jamie Whittam is on his way now to another 15 points, so he will score a 30-point maximum if things stay the way they are at the end of the day's proceedings here at Brands Hatch. He will carry that into the second round at Alton Park. The final round of this series is in Donington, and there is Stringer. So Stringer all the way down in 5th. You can see how fragmented. Here's Ian Simpson, number 1. There's Jim Moody, number 2. So 2 Honda RC45 riders, both Scotsmen, locked together in their own little scrap. Race leader Whittam has gone round at 1:28.93, so the record's coming down and tumbling all the time. This the battle then for 6th and 7th place between Ian Simpson, last year's Super Cup champion, and Jim Moody, the runner-up. But the race leader then, the man on his way to another bag full of 15 points, but still not shaking Steve Hislop off.
No, and he set another lap record, so he really is on the gas now. Jamie is pushing hard. He'll be getting signals from his pit that of his lap times. I would think they're probably giving him an indication, because he must know he's pushing hard. The bike is obviously working extremely well to be setting these times. But I would think he'd be looking over his shoulder, hoping he'd got rid of Hislop, but he hasn't. More back markers as they come up to the Indy circuit here. They come into clearways at this point. Jamie will be keen to get past them before. I don't think he's going to do it before they get into Paddock Hill Bend, but he might be able to use the advantage as they go up into Druids.
Well, I'll endeavour to identify the tail enders if I can, if at all it's of interest to you, but certainly going through, well, you can see the number 50 rider there is Paul Cassidy. And Whittam through, Hislop through. This is Ray Stringer, the 5th place man. Ray Stringer, number 17. The battle for 6th. Ian Simpson, number 1, and Jim Moody, number 2. And these bikes too are very, very evenly matched, both being RC45 750cc Hondas, and they're having a scrap all of their own for the minor placings, and of course they're on for 5 and 4 points. Now Hislop has gone round at 128.86 and Whittam 128.81, so again they're going quicker and quicker and quicker, and all the time drawing themselves further away from this battle.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. Number 1, as you say in the screen at the moment there, was last year's champion, Ian Simpson, who was on the Naught. Number 2 there, you can see the number indicates their positions from the championship last year. Jim Moody, who was on the Yamaha, finishing 2nd in the championship. They're now battling for 5th and 6th place, so it really is a Ducati race. The first 5 places, once again, Ducatis.
Number 69 then, Jamie Whittam, now with a clear lead over Steve Hislop, and this is more or less what he did in race 1. He battled hard. Hislop, I think, with this World Superbike venture in Italy obviously looming over him, wants to preserve both himself and the machine. Penultimate lap now for Jamie Whittam, so should unless some misfortune befalls him, should I say, then he is galloping on his way to a double win here at Brands Hatch in front of a good, appreciative crowd. Still the battle for 6th and 7th, and these men are 25 seconds now, 25 seconds behind the race leader, Jamie Whittam. That's almost unbelievable when we consider what Simpson was doing in the Super Cup Series last year.
Yeah, and there we have that man again. He's not getting away from Hislop, but he doesn't need to, I don't think, with this amount of time left in the race, 1.2 seconds. Hislop's obviously stretched himself as far as he wants to, otherwise he'd have been closer. I think Hislop has decided that 2nd's probably going to be a lot better than a DNF. So I think that this man's got it in the bag, as Barry said, unless some misfortune comes upon him.
The Moto Cinelli Ducati running beautifully for Jamie Whittam. The bellowing, very distinctive exhaust note of these Italian 955cc V-twin, pure thoroughbred Bologna-built machines. They really are the Ferrari, if you like, of the motorcycle world, and certainly they have a huge following in Italy, and they are dominating the World Superbike scene at the moment. Last lap then, a faller there, number 51 from Ashford. Now the rider up, walking away. He's not content, but he's happy, I guess, to be walking away without any problem. Little or no damage to the machinery, simply off into the gravel. Jamie Whittam then storming round the last lap. Hislop very much in his wake and not able to close. So I think this is the way it's going to finish. Steve, a last word.
Yeah, I think almost certainly Jamie would be very silly to make any mistake now. Obviously he has no he can't do anything about a mechanical failure, but he doesn't really need to push hard now. He's backed the pace down. He's lapping about half a second slower than he did towards the end of the race when he was pulling away from Hislop, and now he really just has to finish. There's only 3 corners left before he crosses that checkered flag, and what a perfect weekend for Jamie Whittam. 2 wins and a lot of points in the bag.
The very special style of Jamie Whittam, lifting the wheel as he came through Dingledell, then over the curve. A proud, proud Jamie Whittam this will be when he crosses the line, because the checkered flag almost in sight. He knows he's done it. Are we going to see a victory wheelie, I wonder, from Jamie Whittam? No, we're not, but we do get a hand in the air. Checkered flag, Jamie Whittam a double win, 30 points to the good here at Brands Hatch in round 1. And the second leg of the International Superbike, and there are 4 more races to go. Will anyone have any answer for this man? Another display, front wheel braking, your winner there, Jamie Whittam. Let's take a look then at how the top 6 finished. Ian Simpson got the better of that battle with fellow Scotsman Jim Moody to claim 6th place on the Honda. It was then Ducatis all the way. No one, however, had an answer for Jamie Whittam. He took a very clear win, and the championship now means that after 2 legs, Whittam a clear leader by 6 points, Matt Llewellyn's there 3rd, Stringer and Rutter joint 4th, and Jim Moody on the Honda is 6th.